here. He's supporting us.
All right, let's get into it. One of the very first things that jumped out from the reports we saw was the immediate reaction when President Trump arrived. You read these accounts, and I mean, it's striking. Many described the community's reaction as well. Ecstatic. People seemed genuinely overjoyed to see him there. This wasn't just, a quick flyover. He was there, on the ground, actually talking with people hit hard by the flooding.
Right. And what's really key here, I think, isn't just that he showed up, but how his presence, based on these reports, seemed to provide a kind of psychological boost. Central Texas had just been hammered by severe flooding. We're talking major damage, homes, roads, infrastructure. Communities in that situation, they can feel incredibly isolated, almost like they've been forgotten, So a presidential visit right there on the scene, it shifts the focus. It moves from the immediate despair toward, okay, federal help is actually coming. It's a very powerful signal. It basically tells people the federal government sees what's happening and is stepping up. That alone can be a huge lift for local morale, just confirming they aren't facing this alone.
Absolutely. And that visual, that feeling that your leaders are actually behind you, it's hard to overstate how powerful that is. You could apparently see it right on the faces of those young men mentioned in one report. They weren't just seeing a leader, they were seeing the president of the United States. Right there, in their town during their crisis. That's way more than just optics, isn't it? It's like an anchor in the middle of chaos.
Exactly. By being physically present, the president becomes this sort of focal point of stability, an embodiment of authority, but also care. And that can really help push back against that overwhelming sense of chaos and, frankly, abandonment that people feel when their lives are just turned upside down by disaster.
Yeah, and that feeling, it really came through in one particularly powerful comment from a resident down in Kerrville, Texas. This person described the flood, devastating, it's horrible, just absolute despair. But then they immediately followed up with, but our president's here, he's supporting us, he's sending whatever support he can for us.
This is devastating, and it's horrible, but the president's here, he's supporting us.
That shift from devastation to reassurance, just because he was there, it's remarkable.
That quote really captures the sheer scale of the crisis in Kerrville, doesn't it? I mean, the flooding there the previous weekend was catastrophic. Homes just gone. Businesses, the heart of the local economy, totally wiped out. People were in desperate need of immediate help.
Just terrible.
Terrible. They weren't just cleaning up mud. They were facing a future that suddenly looked terrifyingly uncertain. So President Trump actually being there physically and making those direct promises of federal assistance, well, that wasn't just vague hope. It was concrete reassurance. It signaled, that specific federal aid mechanisms were being activated. Things like emergency declarations that free up FEMA funds for people and for public infrastructure.
Right.
It basically laid out a path toward rebuilding. It told the community that felt like it was drowning that, yes, real, tangible support was actually on the way.
And the focus wasn't only on the residents needing aid, crucial as that is. It was also about recognizing the people running into the danger, the first responders.
Our next insight really centers on President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump taking the time to publicly thank local firefighters. This is such an important part of crisis leadership, I think, acknowledging the sheer bravery and just, frankly, the exhaustion of the people who are on the front lines.
Oh, absolutely. Their efforts were just incredible, tireless. You had firefighters in Central Texas pulling off daring rescues, wading into floodwaters to get people out, trying to save property against overwhelming odds. They really are the guardians of the community when things are at their worst.
They really are.
So, when the president and first lady publicly acknowledge these men and women, it's not just a nice gesture. It's a powerful statement. It shines a spotlight on the absolutely vital role they play. It boosts their morale, and you can bet they needed it. And it also sends a clear signal of federal gratitude and support for their service.
Yeah. It tells them, and really first responders everywhere, that their sacrifices don't go unnoticed, that they're appreciated right from the very top.
Which brings us nicely to the final key event we looked at, that meeting. President Trump, the First Lady, and Governor Greg Abbott all meeting together with first responders there in Kerrville. Now, some people, they might dismiss presidential visits during disasters as just photo ops, but the reports from the ground painted a different picture. This meeting was seen as a really strong show of unified leadership And that unity is just critical when you're dealing with a major disaster.
Well, let's just reinforce the context for Kerrville again. As you said, it was hit incredibly hard. We're talking about countless families forced out of their homes, infrastructure, the stuff communities depend on every single day, roads, power, water seriously damaged. An event like that demands a massive coordinated response. You need local, state, and federal emergency services all working together seamlessly.
Right, no time for red tape.
Exactly. So having President Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, and Governor Abbott all there, meeting together with those first responders. That sends a profound message. It underscores that unified effort. And that unity is essential, not just for backing up the first responders on the ground, but also for making sure the broader recovery efforts happen efficiently, cutting through the bureaucracy, getting help where it's needed. It's a signal of powerful collaborative leadership from the top all the way down.